Awesome. Excellent, you guys. Well, let me just start out with some quick housekeeping, and then we'll get into some introductions. But Brendan, Chuhan, you guys ready to hop into it?
Yes, of
Yes.
course.
Excellent. Cool, guys. Well, let me just start off with some housekeeping items here. This is the first inaugural developer call for the Injective ecosystem, and I'm really excited to kind of bring this to you guys today. It's kind of been in the works for a few weeks now, and we're finally excited to kind of bring you the heat, as they say. As we just have a very large developer community on Injective, and this series really is to bring you kind of the latest technical developments, to bring you updates on, various applications, various, docs updates. And so, we hope with this call to be a monthly call where you guys can come in here, learn, all the great things happening on Injective from a more technical perspective. And then we also hope to eventually start bringing you guys up here on stage to essentially, review your project or give feedback, or, there's lots of ways we could take this. So we want it to be very sort of informational, but at the same time, very collaborative in the same manner. And so, yeah, I guess without further ado, you guys, would love to kind of pass it off to these two guys. These are just our cracked engineers here. They eat, sleep, and breathe Injective. And so, without further ado, I would love to pass it over to Brendan to do a quick introduction. And then after that, Chuhan, if you don't mind giving an introduction from there. But Brendan, without further ado, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah. Hey everyone, it's Brendan. And I have recently joined uh, Injective as DevRel engineer. So happy to see so many familiar faces. Well, by faces I mean PFPs. I recognize a whole bunch of you from Twitter. So great to be on a call with all of you. Yeah, and I've got some pretty exciting for you with this call. So yeah, that's it from me. Chuhan.
Yes. Hello, everybody. My name is Chuhan. I joined. Yes. Oh, I heard there's a little another voice, but anyway. I joined Injective as DevRel for over 6 months, and I really enjoy the vibe, and the entire team is so active, creative, and we really want to build something and ship to the entire community. So it's an amazing experience for me. And before joining Injective, I also working and contributing to EVM ecosystem for many years, like 4 years, and I have witnessed a lot of good projects, good ecosystem building things, and I can see Injective team can bring the everything like to the next level.
Awesome.
Fantastic. Hey, thanks you guys. Really appreciate the introductions. And so, let's just jump into some of the topics today. I think why don't we just start with maybe our developer experience audit. So Brendan, if you want to take kind of that first one, and then we'll jump into some kind of more topics from there. But yeah, I'll leave
Yeah,
you
yeah.
guys to take it away.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay. So we today will be covering like multiple updates, right? So we've got the DX audit, we've got the Adventure X Hackathon, we've got Docs Consolidation Project, we've got an EVM Hello World project, and we also have the EVM Testnet, of course. We're saving the most juicy bits for last. So, and then finally, we also have topics that you want to have in the next call. So this call is going to be repeated, right? And since it's the first one, we came up with the topics ourselves. And if you want to hear about something in particular, please, sound off in the chat, and we'll be monitoring it, and or on Twitter, up to you. And we'll hopefully include some of the topics that you asked for in the next call. All right, I'll kick it off with the DX audit. So DX stands for developer experience. If you heard of UX as in user experience, it's the same thing, but for developers. How does this work? Essentially, create a sort of a profile, if you will, for an EVM developer, and then one of us essentially role plays as that particular persona. So in this case, I was role playing as an EVM developer trialing Injective, which is kind of fitting because that is my background and I have just joined Injective. So it was actually a legit profile, right? So I'm role playing myself essentially. But what I was doing was giving my task, like I want to do something on Injective, build a particular thing, and then see how it goes from there. And I recorded myself, narrated, and then basically took notes saying, here are all the things that are friction points. So things I'm stuck on, things that were frustrating me, that sort of things, right? All of these are friction points. And then after doing the recording, summarize it all into a bunch of recommendations, and then saying, okay, so DevRel can take as like these are all the recommendations that we can take ourselves and action them. And then these are some other ones that engineering, product, marketing, biz dev, like other functions inside of Injective Labs are able to take on, right? And yeah, that is basically a DX audit. It's the actual audit itself is done, right? But actioning the recommendations, that's the long tail. And today I'll be talking about a couple of things, as I alluded to earlier on, that came as audit, right? So one of them is the Docs Consolidation Project, and the other one is the EVM Hello World project. But before we get into that, it's going to be Chuhan who will tell us about the Adventure X Hackathon.
Yes. So Adventure X Hackathon is it's definitely a big success for us because it's so unique. It's unlike the other hackathons we ever sponsored before. So first, I want to say this is China's largest hackathon that we that co-hosted with Adventure X. So another very special place is it is not just a Web3 or blockchain hackathon. It's a general theme hackathon. The project over there are not just builders who only build for blockchain or Web3 industry. There's a lot of like AI builders, robot builders. Just imagine in the hackathon that we're Injective present, there's like a robot builder, right? And there's some drone builders. That is so exciting for us. And Injective was there as exclusive blockchain sponsors. So I think it's represent a very big steps for us to expand our entire dev community into more wider space. Just imagine like before Injective have already accumulated a very good reputation among all of the APAC website builders, but right now we introduce ourselves to more people who may never heard Web3 is, but Injective become their first entry point or the first school to learn what is blockchain, what they can do to bring their own projects, their own ideas, their own creativity on chain. So I think this is very meaningful, very meaningful sponsorship and a very meaningful hackathons for maybe the entire Web3 industry. And we also receive very good results both on the community and the projects for the ecosystem. So one good example is our Chinese-speaking dev community has grown like 300% larger. Right before that, we already accumulate like 300 devs. Right now, the dev groups has expanding to like 1,000 people. So I was like super excited. This result is just come after the Adventure X. And people from everywhere in China, those most talented like university students, they trying to join Injective community and the ecosystem, and they want to learn more. They are eager to learn more about the blockchain, about the Injective, and they believe that the dream of everything on chain, that Injective can actually to make it happen. So this is, I think, the most big success that we get from the co-host, the China's largest hackathon, Adventure X. And also there are many like good projects that coming out. I want to say like those projects are very, very interesting because if you watch like the previous hackathons winners, the most of the winner projects are like DeFi protocol or on-chain yield protocol or the like a lot of like a native on-chain things. But in this Adventure X hackathon, you can see there's projects doing hardware to integrate hardware to make some real things happen. So that's also represent the idea of everything on chain. This is a good example. I want to highlight a few, I think, good projects to the community, and you will soon see them to join the ecosystem and launch their project to the public soon. I want to emphasize Injective Path. It is a on-chain abstraction protocol. It allows user to use NFC cards or their biometric ID to create a wallet just under 1 second, and it's not requiring user to remember very complicated wallet address. It will automatically create a .inj domain to replace that, and so user can easily use it to as an entry point for accessing Injective ecosystem. And also it will bring like more things into that entry point, like maybe the future ticket, event ticket, they can start in on that. Future like on-chain pet, on-chain like gaming thing, they can also put on the Injective Path. So it has very good potential. I want to emphasize another very unique project that is also one of our hackathon winners. It's called Nonomi Live Filter. It is the Apple Vision Pro project. So this is definitely a good project that you may never seen before in the Web3 hackathons. It's just integrated with Apple Vision Pro. I think AR things like Apple Vision Pro things gonna be a big trend for future life. Just recall the sci-fi movie that you've watched before. You can see a lot of like characters, they're wearing the smart glass, right? And smart glass gives them a lot of necessary info to like technology analyzing info for them to better make decision. And that's what that project Nonomi Live Filter is doing. So it integrates with some AI agent. It can help user to solve their real daily problem. You just speaking to the Apple Vision Pro. The AI agent will decrypt your every command into the doable tasks. And also like it integrates with Injective chain deeply. If you just imagine you put that Apple Vision Pro on your head and you say, okay, I want to transfer some of the my INJ to another place, it will automatically doing it. It's super cool. I think it's the first example to integrate with AR with blockchain, and I believe also AR gonna be another option for mass adoption. If that is true, I think Injective already on the first explorer into that industry and or field. So I think it's very meaningful too. So basically, in general, this hackathon gives a lot of like projects heavily integrate with AI. Heavily integrated with new technology like hardware, like robots, like AI. So this is super cool. The last project that I wanna emphasize is it's a project called Cyberplan. It's a small but beautiful project. It's designed for like for global plan lover. It's also integrated with AI tools. If your house are growing some plant that you like, you can take a picture. The Cyberplan project will use AI use that picture based on that picture to generate an NFT pixel art NFT based on your plant, and then you can also despite of the real plant in your house, you can also raise and take care of your NFT-ized plant, and then you can be trade. And it also provide wearable hardware with a screen to display your plant collections. And if you want to trading with the others, it's very easy. You just tapping your phones with others, tapping your hardware with others. You can easily trading your pixel art style plant. I think it's a fun game. It's a fun game on chain, and it's also a very good, like a good example that AI integrate with blockchain and integrates with a special lifestyle. So this is what the innovations that we want to see. We want to see on chain creativity, and that's why I think the Adventure X showing us a lot of surprise. Sooner I will release a blog. Just do a quick recap for those coolest projects that I've seen in doing the Adventure X, and you guys, I believe you guys will also be excited for what our ecosystem gonna seeing a lot of interesting projects, Web3 projects, to join, because they unlike just some yield things like yield circulated things like DeFi things. It will show you how real like everything on chain will looks like. You will have some real stuff like real hardware stuff and real world stuff and AI stuff to be as an Injective ecosystem project. I think that's a true creativity for us.
Fantastic. Thank you, Chuhan. That was awesome. I think that gave the audience sort of just the scope and size of the Adventure X Hackathon. And for everyone listening, that is only part one of our Injective APAC tour. We have several events coming up. I just want to give a quick plug to anyone in sort of the Tokyo region or just in Japan in general. We are going to be hosting our event at the WebEx Tokyo, which is happening, I believe, next week. And so anyone sort of around that region or going to that specific event, we'd love to have you guys. Oz did just post the link in the chat. So yeah, really excited for that one to continue the momentum. But we'll pass it over to Brendan to keep the updates flowing.
Thank you. Okay, so I mentioned the Developer Experience Audit or DX Audit earlier on, and I just wanted to highlight a couple of the projects that have come out of it, right, as one of the recommendations. Now, to be clear, if I'm not mistaken, there are at least 30 different recommendations that were made, so it's a huge number. So we're only scratching the surface here. But these are some of the more major ones, the ones that DevRel is working on. So I'm going to highlight one of them now, which is the Docs Consolidation Project. So I'm going to pop this in the comments over here. This is a link to the Injective docs. If you are a developer, right, this is going to be your main source of information about the Injective network. Now, this is obviously very important, a big part of developer experience, and it was, let's say, in need of a lot of love, right? So what has happened, right? Three major things need to happen, and two of them already done, right? So firstly is the content that was already within docs.injective.network. Now that needed to be rearranged, and I'll get to that in a bit, like exactly needed to be rearranged, right? So stuff within that domain needs to be rearranged. Then some of you may know that there's also a separate docs site for the TypeScript SDK. So that was on docs.ts.injective.network. And this didn't really make a lot of sense, right, for it to be in a separate subdomain. And also a lot of the docs that were on this, they weren't specific to the TypeScript documentation. They really were more general documentation about developing on Injective. And so that's the impetus for consolidation, right? Why split it across multiple subdomains? So now every single thing that was on docs.ts.injective.network has been shifted onto the main docs domain, the first one that I mentioned, right? So both of them are still up, but going forward, we'll only use the main docs, and we will deprecate this TS SDK's subdomain. And in fact, if you go there now, you'll see the deprecation notice at the top as well. So after a short period of time, we intend to deprecate that because it's all been shifted into the main docs. So those are the two bits that have been done already. And the third thing that is planned but has not yet started is there is another subdomain for docs.trading.injective.network. Now this follows the same pattern as the TypeScript docs as well, right? So a lot of the documentation really did belong on the main docs as well. So that's all being shifted across, or will be shifted across. That's a bit of work that has not been done just yet. Now, I mentioned rearranging the contents earlier on. So what exactly are we rearranging? So the main thing is that when you arrange the content in a developer documentation portal, right? You have to think about your information architecture. So what that means is like, how am I actually going to organize the information such that the people who want to find it can find it easily and it makes sense to them? There is some sort of pattern that they can rely on in order to be able to look up the information that they need. Like, does it flow? Is it like randomly arranged, or does it have some sense of coherence? And that is essentially information architecture, right? There's a lot more to it than that, but I will sort of summarize it into like maybe three key principles that I've been adhering to. So one is persona-based arrangement. So you'll notice now that there are 6 distinct personas, and that's very clear in the navigation, right? So you've got 2 non-developer personas, right? Those are DeFi users as well as infrastructure, meaning sort of like DevOps, people who are running nodes, that sort of thing, nodes, indexes, etc. So those are 2 non-developer profiles. And then we also got 4 developer profiles, which are, essentially people who are trying to build an application or DApp on top of Injective. And so you've got CosmWasm developers, you've got native developers, you've got DeFi developers, and freshly minted new set of developers that are now possible EVM developers. So we've got 4 developer personas. And so you notice that the documentation is now arranged such that if you're a developer who belongs to one of these categories, or a non-developer who's either then you can immediately find where you're going, and then within that you can navigate where you want to go. That's one principle, and probably the biggest change was that one, right? The other thing was to ensure that the navigation, as far as possible, has a maximum of 3 levels of depth, because there's plenty of research showing that once you get to 4 levels of depth, it becomes quite difficult to find one when you just opening up the menus to look for things, right? So that makes it easier to search, to navigate, etc. So developers will be able to find the information they need much more quickly, and that's an ideal that we strive for. Another principle, or the third principle I'd like to highlight, is that we do not want any 404. So if you go to any website and you type something in the path, or you click a link that takes you to the page, and sometimes you'll see an error saying 404 not found, right? What that basically means is that the page that used to be there is no longer there, and we don't know what to do, so we're just going to give you an error message, right? So with that in mind, I don't want any of the existing links to break, given that we're rearranging all of the information to such an extensive amount. So the rule is only redirects are allowed. We're not going to let any of the existing pages actually give you an error. So if you go to a page that doesn't exist anymore because it's been rearranged, then it'll just sort of magically just shift your browser into the new page within the docs instead. So hopefully that means that, if someone has tweeted about it 3 months ago or something, or earlier, right, and there's a link and you click on it, you'll still end up more or less where you intended to go, where that original link intended to go. Yeah, so those are 3 principles. And there was also a bit of a side quest. In the process of, putting up all these redirects, discovered that the docs was actually full of a lot of broken links that had just been there for a long time. And for those of you following me on Twitter, you'll see my adventures. It's sort of a 2 steps forward, 1 step back sort of thing, where you discover more broken links and fix them and so on. Right, but we're getting there. I would say around 90 links were identified as broken and have been fixed. So hopefully that improves your experience as a developer or as anyone just navigating our documentation. All right, that's it for the Docs Consolidation Project. Back to you, Chuhan. Maybe you can give us some updates on the EVM Testnet.
Yeah, thank you, Brendan. So before I start, I want to re-emphasize why multiVM is very important to Injective. I know there's we may have some Rust lovers here, but actually the truth is, to be frankly, a lot of people spend a lot of time to learning Solidity. They know smart contracts maybe just because Solidity. So it's very important for us to support EVM environment. It's not just for us to embrace those EVM projects. It's also very important to our community, because we know that EVM lovers or the Solidity lovers, there's a lot of like tons of resource online, and it's easy for them to pick up and starting to write some few simple projects just using Solidity. But for Rust, for Watson, definitely it needs some high level or a little bit high leveled programming skills. So supporting EVM is a key for us to bring everything on chain and to mass adoption into future. And that's why we have EVM Testnet live for now, and you can find everything you need as an EVM developer on our documentation page. Here's I share the link with our EVM pages. You can easily find everything you need to quickly deploy your smart contracts into our Injective EVM testnet. So it contains the network information that all you need. You can use that information to set up your MetaMask. Your MetaMask can now direct connect to Injective EVM testnet. And just beware, it is definitely the same testnet with our Watson or the main testnet. The INJ there is the same thing, the same balance. So it also shows the big power of Injective's like a multi-VM feature. So you are using an EVM environment, but you have also experienced the fast speed of Injective chain blockchain and the low gas-free, zero gas-free features from Injective blockchain, and also the pre-compile. I want to emphasize that pre-compile is the really big things. It means you can using EVM standard to create tokens, but those tokens can easily be integrated with Injective exchange module, which means you got shared liquidity, which means you don't have to worry about, oh, should I pick up a good platform to launch my token? Then I can get some liquidity with INJ or USDT on the main chain. No, you don't need to worry about all of this, because using our precompiled smart contract, you can definitely make your ERC20 token to the Injective native token without the extra knowledge that you wanted to learn. So this is really cool stuff, and really the multi-VM can bring you to experience. This is no other EVM blockchain can provide the feature, can provide it to you. Just imagine you are on some like a parallel EVM blockchain or EVM layer 2. It's only everything over there is only EVM, but in Injective EVM testnet, it's not only EVM, it's EVM as modules and connected with all other Injective modules, like Watson module, like exchange module, like staking module. So there's a lot of like already like successful modules here for you as EVM developers to leverage their advantage. So this is really cool. And besides of the network information, you can if you are a beginner, you can find we have our tutorial for your first EVM smart contract deployment, and with code over there, you can connect with your EVM setting with Foundry, with Foundry, with the other like Hardhat, the other EVM development framework. And also there's code example for you to just follow with to connect your Injective EVM with your MetaMask with other wallet too, and it can easily integrate into your front end project. So everything you need for your EVM building is on our documentation, and you can easily find there. And also the precompile I just mentioned before, we also have the section for them. So it's you can just experience how Injective make it happen, and how easy you can use it integrate with your EVM project. So alongside with these benefits, we are bring more EVM big protocols, those good projects, big protocols to join Injective ecosystem. Now finally, like you can use the graph to become an injective like data scientist. Because the graph officially like join Injective because the EVM is EVM environment is alive. You can use quick nodes to access a lot of like standard EVM RPC points to check your transaction, to check gas fee, to check your everything you need through the EVM endpoints. Also, you have like a layer 0. It's a EVM based interoperability protocol. It can help you to connect every chain that's through the layer 0. It's also joined Injective. This is those like big protocols, powerful protocols for devs to integrate with Injective EVM Testnet, and also we have more good mature like a product-wise protocols to join for the general users. We have like a DeFi protocol like Liquid, and some bridge protocol like Orbiters, and we also have different wallets join us, so that despite of Kepler, maybe that you are very familiar with Watson environment, now you have a lot of choice of EVM environment wallets that you can use in Injective ecosystem. So all of this you can say is just growing and expanding. So Injective is now, it's not only the blockchain that you experienced before. It is a totally I think it's definitely a new chain, and it's inherit all of like good features, but also can include a lot of new features for you to experience. I'm so excited and really can't wait to see what EVM environment can bring to the entire ecosystem.
Awesome. So, Chuhan, actually, one more thing. Did you cover the multi-VM token standard?
Yes. Yeah, I was just saying that through the pre-compile, yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah, awesome. Cool. Okay. I guess I'll move on to the next thing. So, another project that also came out of a recommendation from the DX audit, as I mentioned earlier on, was the Hello World project, right? So I'm just going to pop in 3 links. I'm going to pop in a GitHub link, which is here, and
Brendan, feel free to actually share your screen if it makes a difference.
Yeah. No, I'm happy to just talk through it. Yeah. And then there's a YouTube link, and there is a Twitter link. So however you want to engage with it, right? Like I've given you 3 different things, but they're all talking about the Hello World experience that is actually a work in progress, right? But before we get into all of that, right, just want to say, so where some of you may not be aware of it, so I'm just going to go like from the really basic level, like if you haven't heard this term before. So what is a Hello World, right? It is something that gives a developer a very quick, emphasis on quick or speed, right, success in interacting with a new technology, in this case Injective, right? So developers, they go through a few different stages in their journey with a new technology. Starts off with awareness, then it goes on to evaluation, then learning, then building, then scaling, right? So scaling kind of means going to production, which in this case means mainnet with real users and real funds, right, in Injective. But before you get there, you go through all of these stages. Now, what is a Hello World? It basically kind of shortcuts in a very specific, limited way a developer to the build stage, right? So instead of doing awareness, then evaluation, then learning, then building, right? So 4 different stages. In the second stage, during evaluation, boom, you've already learned something, you've already built something. That's what it is. And it needs to be super quick and super easy to use, right? So that translates to minimum frustrations, right? And so even though the thing that is actually happening within a Hello World thing is as the name alludes to, right, something that's as simple as printing text on the screen, right? But in our case, it's going to be building a smart contract that just does, increments a counter, right? The most basic smart contract that you could possibly think of. The fact that you're actually building something, you've deployed the smart contract, you've done transactions, you've created and funded an account in the process, and you did it all during the evaluation stage, that is a successful deliverable, right? So why does Injective need one of these, right? Why are we putting in so much effort into building one of these? So the EVM module is new, right? So as Chuhan mentioned earlier on, Injective has got a multi-VM architecture, and EVM is a new addition to that, right? And so when that happens, you've got existing developers who are perhaps familiar with Cosmos, etc., right, and have no idea about EVM. Then you've also got a whole bunch of developers who know how to use Solidity, etc., but they have never heard of Injective before. And these developers, if you want to onboard them successfully into building on the EVM on Injective, you want to have a very quick way for them to discover it and say, hey, it works, right? And I know that it works. I have proof, right? Because it's happened in front of me. And basically it will improve the overall developer experience as a result of that, initial shortcut. And if you think about your developer journey as a series of stages, and at each stage, a certain percentage of developers will drop out and say, no, this is not for me. I didn't like what I got. And a certain percentage of developers will say, hey, I like what it is, what this is. I like building on Injective, so I'm going to continue to the next stage, right? So if you think of it as a series of stages, the Hello World is one of the earliest stages, and definitely should be the earliest stage in which you interact with any code on the new platform, right? So it is an extremely critical part of a developer journey, one that requires a lot of optimization. So that's why Injective needs one of these, right? Because if you lose a high percentage at an early stage, it is actually worse than losing a small percentage at a later stage, if you do the math, right? Because it compounds. Okay, so that's why we need one, right? And what is the status of our Hello World experience? So it is not complete yet. It is currently work in progress. The YouTube video that I've just linked before starting, that is my own run through of it and self-criticism, if you will, of what we had as of yesterday. So I pushed more changes today as well. So it's probably better than what you see in the video, but I'm just sort of like being completely transparent and open. In like, okay, this is the parts that it's great for, this is the part that it's not, these things frankly could be better, right? And I would also like you to give your feedback, hence the title, right? So I would like you to give me feedback. Please drop a link, please drop your comments as as to what you think could be improved, right, in YouTube comments or Twitter comments, whichever you feel like, right? I'll follow up on those. Okay, so how can you actually try it, right? How can you actually do this, right? So you could do the standard thing with any Git repository, which is to Git clone it, and then it's on your computer, then you follow the instructions to README, and then you run it on your own computer, right? But since it's a Hello World, and the developer experience, as I mentioned earlier on, needs to be hyper optimized, right? The suggested approach for you actually is to just go to the README, click on the run in Gitpod button, which is right at the top. And what that happens is it'll let you run everything inside of your browser, right? So this happens via Gitpod. That's basically a Docker image plus a Git repository plus VS Code a version of VS Code that runs inside of your browser. That's what Gitpod is. It packages all those three things together in one neat package. And what does that mean for you, right? It means that you don't have to do any setup whatsoever on your computer. So you don't have to do npm install, you don't have to get any SDKs, nothing. None of that needs to be done by you, right? Everything's in the browser, and all the installations, whatever, happen automatically, and it's on a cloud server that is hosted by, Gitpod with its Docker image, right? So that's super simple and straightforward for you as the end user. and it cuts down a lot of time, right? That's one of the key goals of a Hello World experience. All right, and one of the questions that I got from Twitter, right? So I tweeted about this, and one of the questions I got is, do I actually need to be a coder to try this, right? And the answer is actually surprisingly no, right? So what you do need to be able to do is to be able to run command line, like interact with the CLI. So if you go to VS Code, at the bottom there is a little terminal, and in it you might have to type something like ./00- compile or something, right? Whatever the script name is, and then you just run that script, and everything's done for you, right? You just need to be a bit comfortable with the command line, and that's the only level of technical knowledge that you need in order to actually run this Hello World experience. So a lot of effort has been put into streamlining it so that you don't actually have to write any code. Remember that this is being done during the evaluation stage, and so the objective is not for the Hello World to teach you, right, how to build an Injective, but rather for you to trial it and be hands-on with the code without actually having to learn any of the code, right at the beginning. So yeah, you don't actually need to be a coder to do it. All right, so yeah, I think that about covers it, and I hope that everyone here gives it a shot and gives me your feedback if you do actually try it out. So the docs consolidation and the Hello World, as I mentioned earlier on, these are just two projects that are coming out of recommendations from DX Audit. There are many more, right? Many more that are going to come out soon. So you'll hear about them from me probably first on Twitter, and then a roundup like in the format of a community call like this one. All right. Before we wrap up, Rocky, Chuhan, did you want to say anything else?
Yes,
Chuhan,
maybe I
go
want
for
to.
it.
Yeah. Just I think I left a few things I want to re-emphasize. First is it's Adventure X Hackathon. Like why it's important. I want to emphasize again because it's first time Injective or the Web3 industry company or the project appear alongside with those traditional Web2 big tech company like Tencent, like Little Red Book, like Lark. Lark is a TikTok mating chatting big app. It's very big in China. So we appeared at the same stage with them, and we accumulate like the big crowds bigger than them. So I think it's a very brave move from us, and we want to integrate more similar hackathons or big events or conference in doing the APAC to really increase our existence. So I think the entire APAC community can expecting to see more and more important events and Injective be there and alongside with those big names, big names. And this is not the other Web3 projects they often to do, but we can do that, and we want to because we have the one big vision. We want to make everything on chain, and we really serious want to do it. So this I think this is the most coolest things in this industry, and it's ongoing. So yeah, and also the APAC community. If you are very interested with growing with us, we're gonna have like a community program starting. It's called Ninja Labs. I suggest you to follow our social media and to follow with the new progress of that program going. And excited to see you in there because Ninja Labs gonna be our very good community and to help us to expanding our ecosystem very to very well large.
There we go. Looks like Oz just shared the link to that in the chat. So everybody, if you want to pop into the chat and check that out, feel free to do so. I do want to give us, we do have, let's call it 14 minutes left in this little space we have. I do want to bring up anyone from the community that sort of has a question. If they want to talk a little bit about very quickly, what they're working on, get any feedback. Really, I want this to be just an open forum for you guys. We're keen to learn more about sort of what's being built here on Injective, and even if you think, hey, it's still an idea or it's a small little MVP, would love to just, let you have some space to share a little bit about it. Let's keep these, the community questions, limited to about, let's call it 5 minutes or so or less, just to make sure everyone has, time to kind of come on up here and whatnot. But yeah, if you want to speak here on stage, go ahead and request to speak. Oz, I don't know if you can sort of help facilitate this a little bit. But yeah, I think that would be helpful for kind of these last few minutes. And then also, outside of that, we would love to also learn more about what you'd like to see for this series. We'd love your feedback on this first episode, of course. We'd love to, add any additional sort of information or spotlights or anything like that, to these developer calls. But really, we want these calls to be for you guys, right? We don't want it to be something that just we dictate and you guys have to, show up and hopefully get the information you're looking for out of. We really want it to be about you guys. And so if there are any sort of suggestions, feedback you guys have for us, feel free to, pop that in the chat, or come up here on stage. But I guess without further ado, I'm not even sure if we have those requests to speak enabled at the moment. So we might have to punt on that aspect of it. Let's see. Gotcha. Oz says he knows requests. So we must have just been right on the money with regards to that. So cool, guys. Well, maybe we'll keep this one. We'll cut it a little bit. 45 minutes seems like a good time for this type of call. So, unless there's any topics that everyone has, Brendan or Chuhan, that you guys want to, leave the community with, we can cut it off here and rejoin next time. But yeah, any parting thoughts from you guys?
No, thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in. It's been great to be a part of this very first community call, and hopefully we'll have a lot more of these along the way.
It's a fun chatting, yeah. Thanks everybody to join this community call, and definitely we will we have the similar call in future. Yes, we will see each other a lot of time.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys. Thank you, panelists, for being here. Just, I guess, some last shills to go out. Obviously, our EVM testnet for users is in full effect. Definitely head on over to our multiVM website, and you can check out sort of all the applications that are happening, being built there. I'll drop it in the chat right here. That's your gateway to what's really happening on Injective from a developer and user standpoint. Just lots going on there. That's a great way to sort of get started as a user, great way to get started as a builder, and obviously lots more to come. We're in our private beta phase for mainnet for our EVM, and so you know what that means. Public mainnet is right around the corner. So definitely stay tuned, stay locked, ninjas. We appreciate you guys. And without further ado, we will cut it off here, and we will have, hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and we will catch you guys on the next Injective developer call. Appreciate everyone being here, and we'll catch you next time.